Last season, we were voted the Premier League's most overachieving club. This season, it looks like we could do it again. Today, we're going to find out just how good we are as we face off against second place Manchester City and league leaders Liverpool. Welcome back to Leeds United, Pride of Yorkshire. In yesterday's episode, we had a bit of a revenge tour going as we managed to beat Manchester United in a Roses derby. We also had a 0-0 draw with Atalanta that confirmed us as group winners in our Europa League group. So today, we are going to be trying to overhaul the top two teams in the Premier League as we face off against Manchester City first and then against Liverpool. If you had a little look down in the bottom left hand corner, you might see a little spoiler as to how we have been getting on. I can tell you now, we have been in really good form. Since that little wobble at the start of the season, we have really started to turn it on. And also, we are in the window for some transfers, so there have been some ins and outs. We'll show you exactly who has come in and who has gone out. But first, let's bring you up to date with everything that's been going on in the footballing world. So, as you may have noticed, in the last episode, there was a massive gap in the fixtures for the World Cup. The World Cup had a surprise winner. We had Croatia beating Argentina in extra time to win the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Bit of a strange one, but Croatia obviously are a team that Football Manager think a lot of, and they have a lot of youngsters who are coming through to help them to win their first World Cup. In terms of ourselves in the domestic competitions, you can see that since that Atalanta game, we have played against Everton and we had a 2-1 victory. Played very well in the first half, scoring 2 goals. We had a goal from Thomas and Sesko. We then had a red card for Bentancur, which let Everton back into the game late on. They got a goal back through Gray, but we got the 3 points. We then played against Rangers in the Europa League and we won 4-2. Didn't play very well, but we're quite clinical with our finishing. We had goals from Daniel James and Patrick Bamford. That was a bit of a dead rubber, really. We'd already qualified for that, so rotated the team a little bit. We then played Fulham in the Premier League, and this game was absolutely crazy. So we found ourselves 2-0 down in the first half. Goals in after 14 and 33 minutes. And then, all of a sudden, we substituted in Karim Adeyemi after about 55 minutes, and he scored after 61. He then scored after 90 plus 1. He then went and won the game for us in the 97th minute, and he absolutely bossed when he came on. He has been in such fantastic form. So a lucky 3 points, but 3 points nonetheless. We then went and had a couple of friendly games. We played against Napoli, drew 1-1. Horsens won 5-0, and Antwerp 3-0. None of them really important. Back to the Premier League though, and this is where it really starts to get important. You can see those green dots are really mounting up. So against Wolves, we didn't start the game off too well. Raul Jimenez managing to put Wolves into the lead. They then had a goal disallowed after 78 minutes, and then again this game went crazy. So Ricky Puig scoring his first goal for the club after 86, before Karim Adeyemi, becoming a bit of a specialist of these 90th minute winners, stole the 3 points for us. We then played Brentford in the Premier League. We won 2-0 in this game with goals from Sesko and Daniel James. Brentford unlucky to have a goal disallowed in the first half, but we were still well on top anyway. We then played Cardiff in the FA Cup third round. Rotated the team quite a lot, but still put in a good performance despite Rafinha being sent off in the first minute. Two goals from Koch, both from set pieces, a goal from Ali Akman, and Karim Adeyemi having one disallowed late on, 60 minutes into the game, which meant that we won 3-0 and have actually drawn Arsenal in the next round. We then, back in the Premier League, have won 4-2 against Norwich. A brilliant game from us, even though again we started off slowly, conceded a goal early on. Junior Firpo, Sesko, Bentancur and Sesko all scoring before Malumbi scored late on to make it 4-2. Another 3 points there. Then we played Newcastle and won 3-1. Again, a bit of a shaky one this. We scored early from Rafinha, then St Maximin equalised, and then Sesko getting 2 goals towards the end of the game to wrap up 3 more points. And then last time out, this is probably the best performance of the lot. We played Chelsea in a game at Ellen Road. It was a late kickoff, and we absolutely annihilated them. The stats don't really say it. The stats make the game look 50-50, but from the get-go, we absolutely smashed them. And as you may be able to see, and I'm about to say, a new player, Julian Brandt, got 2 goals early on before Sesko and Adeyemi finished them off. Mason Mount did get one back for Chelsea, but it's 3 more points. So, looking at the league table, that leaves us with an impressive position in the table. We are currently on 47 points, sat in 4th place. We are 8 points ahead of Chelsea, but they do have a game in hand. So, even with the game in hand, if they win, that's still a potential 5 point lead. And we have worked really, really hard to get ourselves within touching distance of both Manchester United and Manchester City. I think Liverpool are off and away, even though Man United have a game in hand anyway. So that brings us nicely up to date with everything going on in terms of the footballing side of the game. Let's show you what's been happening in terms of the playing staff. If we go to transfers and transfer history, we'll start off with the players that have left the club. So the first one to go was Patrick Bamford. He has left for £11 million. He decided he didn't want to be third choice striker here. He wanted to go on and play football at Burnley. So he has upped and off there. He's actually got 2 goals in 2 games in the Championship. So that's a good move for him. We then have let a few fringe players leave as well. And there is one other big transfer that is going to happen. That will be a transfer out, and that is Robin Koch. He has a transfer lined up. Unfortunately, he asked to leave after a bid came in from Dortmund. We didn't want to accept it. He then asked to be transfer listed, hence the reason why he looks like he's surplus to requirements, even though I really wanted to keep him at the club. And then Zenit St. Petersburg came in with an offer of £35 million. We had told Koch that if a bid of that amount came in, that we would listen. So his transfer is set to go through, I believe, the day after this game. So if he plays in the Manchester City game, it will be his last game for the club. Going back to the transfers in, though, we have started to sign some players to replace the players that are leaving. So the first player we signed was Mergim Vojvoda. He can play left back or right back, even though he says he is competent at left back. He's more of a right back. He's one to give Tyler Adams a little bit of a break, and also Christian Manea seems to be a little bit injury prone, so it's a little bit of squad depth there. Also comes in as a squad player. We have signed, as I mentioned, Julian Brandt. I think this one's a bit of a bargain, to be honest. For some reason, he wanted to come in as a fringe player for £5.75 million. It's a little bit of a steal. He hasn't played brilliantly until that last game, but I think it's an absolute bargain for the price. We've then signed Amadou Diawara. He popped up on the scouting report. The scout said that he would be a great signing both for now and for the future, even though he's 25, and he has slotted in seamlessly into the midfield in a rotation with Bentancur and Adams. And the last player we signed was Jamal Lascelles, going back to Newcastle's rejects. This is basically just cover for Robin Koch when he leaves. We have got another player lined up that hasn't yet joined the club, but in terms of a rotation option, he has come in as a squad player and hopefully understands that he won't be a first teamer. He's just going to be a player that steps in for maybe cup games or when we have got suspensions or players that need a rest. The other players then that we are trying to bring in, we have got Maximilian Woba. We've had a deal agreed, and this deal is in the process of being completed once a work permit is granted, which doesn't seem to be a problem. He is currently injured, 7 days to 2 weeks with fractured ribs, and unfortunately, his scouting report does show up that he's fairly susceptible to injuries. So maybe He is a player that we will have to wrap up in cotton wool and try and get through games, but I think in terms of a direct replacement for Koch, he's going to be a fantastic acquisition. And the other player that we are going to be signing in the summer of, or in the next summer, should I say, is a first regen. He's Diego Carpio. He popped up on the scouting report, and as you can see in the top right, it says, although one for the future, Carpio should be signed whatever the price. Doesn't look that great to begin with, but the scouts assure me that he's going to come good. So he is a player that we have signed. So that's all the ins and outs. There is a little bit of discontent at the club at the moment. We've had problems with Jack Harrison. He wanted more playing time. I gave it to him initially, and then he decided that he wanted to leave. So he's currently sat in the under-23s, and we had a little bit of unrest. But as you can see, the board are happy with the level of support in the squad. So luckily it didn't unsettle everything that is going on. So that truly brings us all up to date. And we are now going to jump in and see how we get on in today's first game against Manchester City. The first of two games today then is going to be against Manchester City, and let's have a little look at the lineup that we are going to put out to hopefully beat Manchester City. We have got Meslier in goal, Firpo, Koch in what is going to be his last game for the club, Llorente and Manea at the back. We've got Bentancur and Phillips in the middle, Brandt playing wide left, Puig and Rafinha making up the rest of that three, and then Sesko will start up front. Sesko is banging form at the moment and is back in the goals, so let's hope he continues to score against Manchester City. First highlight then is Meslier with a goal kick to Koch, plays the ball to Phillips as we knock it about at the back, and then absolute suicide defending there from Llorente. He gave the ball to Kevin De Bruyne. Not too sure what he was thinking. I'm hoping he's just made a mistake, because it's a perfect pass straight to De Bruyne, who gives it to Ferran Torres, and he's put Manchester City into the lead. And it's 1-0. Free kick for Man City as they swing it in. Bernardo Silva headed on by Ruben Diaz, I think that was. It hits the top of the net and goes over for a goal kick, which we are going to lump forwards. Meslier not picking anybody out, but Diaz, who plays it forwards as Man City look to spread the ball around. Mendy to Rodrigo. Rodrigo with the ball into Sterling. He's in behind. He turns back, finds De Bruyne. The shot is blocked. Sterling finds De Bruyne again. And it's 2-0. I think this is actually an own goal, but the game will give it to De Bruyne. I'm not sure who it was, but somebody definitely sticks a leg out when this shot gets hit and puts it into the net. So Sterling turns back. Shot first time, he's blocked brilliantly. The second one, yeah, it's turned in by Llorente. And yeah, 2-0. In a half time then, and we are 2-0 down. Not a good first half, but in fairness, not a lot's happened anyway. Man City have the 2 goals, but those 2 goals are from 2 shots on target, one of which we gave them, and the second one really could have been an own goal. No shots on target for us in that first half. We might have to give it a little while and then change it up to see if we can wake the players up. But for the moment, we're going to see what happens in the second half. So bringing the ball forwards, Puig gets caught in possession, and Man City turn the ball over. Diaz is going to play it to Laporte, plays it back to Diaz, back to Rodrigo. Man City are knocking it around quite nicely. If we step up, we could pinch the ball high up the pitch, but instead we allow them to play it around, and it's Sterling to De Bruyne, Ferran Torres. They've cut us open again. And luckily, Ferran Torres misses. From the goal kick then, Meslier to Koch. He plays it to Junior. And Firpo is going to bring the ball forwards. There was a ball on over the top there. He didn't choose to play it. Instead, he's given the ball away cheaply. And then Phil Foden is now running at us. He tries to play over the top, but it's dealt with well by Llorente. And then we're trying the ball over the top. Nothing is sticking for us today. We are really, really struggling in terms of creativity. As Man City bring the ball forwards, De Bruyne finds Ferran Torres. He isn't going to miss again, is he? He is going to miss. I thought that had hit the back of the net when it left his foot. Luckily, it didn't. 62 minutes on the clock then. We are going to try and make some changes. First one of which will be Diawara on for Bentancur. And then we are going to bring Karim Adeyemi on up front. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to rest Rafinha as well. So Thiago Thomas will come on in place of Raf. So let's see if any of these can make any difference in the last 28 minutes. Man City on the ball. They're going to play it forwards to Foden. He turns, plays the ball over the top, but luckily Maneo read that. And now Maneo and Meslier are playing it between them, but they give it straight back to Cancelo. He plays it through to Foden. He's going to turn back, plays it in to Grealish, but the ball ends back up with Foden. Bernardo to Fernandinho, plays it to Sterling. They're just knocking it about for fun until Manea intercepts. He dumps the ball forwards though, only as far as Diaz, and it comes back towards us with Cancelo and Foden. Llorente there has won the ball, and Llorente is going to get sent off. That I wish there was ways that we could go to VAR for those kinds of things. It clearly looked in the clip like he had won the ball there. So pretty disappointing in terms of the fact that he's been sent off, because I thought, looking at it first hand, that he had won the ball. Referee disagrees, and off Llorente goes. Ball was swung in by Man City. It was defended well. Thiago Thomas is now going to bring it away. Manea tries the lump ball over the top, which we have tried all day. Has really not worked. I'm not too sure why the players keep doing it. And the ball over the top here is for Gabby. Meslier goes to ground. This is not impressive at all. I know with 10 men it's going to be difficult against Manchester City, but Silva, Foden, with nobody closing him down, he has all the time in the world to pick the ball, and there is Barbosa to tap the ball into the empty net. Why the goalkeeper goes to ground so early, I'm not too sure either. Sometimes goalkeeping is questionable, but it's 3-0. End of the game then, and we have been taught quite a lesson at the City of Manchester Stadium, or Etihad Stadium as it's now known. Yeah, it was difficult. We were up against it from the off. We haven't had a single shot on target, and I think that is just a little insight into how big the gap between the teams are. We may have to try and invest whatever money we get next season in one player that is really going to raise the level of the team. I think there might be a few more dealings though in this transfer window. So hopefully we're going to improve the team in general, and we will come back and challenge Manchester City on another day. But in this episode, we have one more game to go, and we're going to try and write this. We have one more game to go, and that is against league leaders Liverpool. After the disappointing game against Manchester City, we are now going to look to bounce back against Liverpool. Unfortunately, Robin Koch is no longer at the club. Llorente is now out, suspended after his red card, and that means we are going to have to test out an untested pairing at the back. So the lineup we are going to be putting out is Meslier in goal, Junior Firpo, Ahmed Hodzic, Lascelles, and Vojvoda. So 3 of that back 4 are pretty much untried together. We've got Adams and Bentancur in the middle, James, Brandt and Rafinha, and Sesko up top. I'd like to say I'm confident coming into this, but after seeing what happened in the last game, I think this could be a long, long day. Let's see what happens. First piece of action then is going to be an attack for Liverpool. Mo Salah looking to get him down the right before he plays it back to Trent. Back inside to Mo Salah, and we all know what happens here. Mo Salah scores the first goal of the game after 7 minutes. In the little press build-up thing to this, our assistant manager said we had a plan for Mo Salah. And if that was the plan, to just let him cut in off the wing, ghost into the box, and score in the far corner, that was a job well done. A corner kick then, which Salah is going to swing in, and it's 2-0 to Liverpool as João Palhinha makes it 2-0 with a big header from just inside the 6-yard box. Or just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Yeah, cross comes in, big header. It's 2-0. We're in trouble. Salah with a free kick. He swings it in. Virgil van Dijk's there. The only shocking thing there is he didn't score as he's put the ball wide. Another free kick. Mo Salah swings this one in. The ball goes over everybody, and then the referee has given a penalty. It looks like Bentancur has fouled Henderson, maybe. Let's have a look. The VAR are getting involved with this one. Penalty has been awarded, and yeah, this is not good. So Mo Salah steps up, he side foots it into the bottom corner. It's 3-0. 21 minutes on the clock. We're in big, big trouble, and the gap between the two teams is absolutely massive. So cool as you like, slots it home. It's 3-0 to Liverpool. A free kick of our own as Rafinha swings it in. Ball's played towards Adams. He's going to play it back to Rafinha. He then puts it across. Brandt has the shot. Comes back to Adams. Back to Rafinha. Back to Adams. Rafinha goes to ground. Is that inside? Is it a penalty or is it a free kick? It looked outside to me. The ref is going over. I think VAR is going to get involved again. Is it a penalty or is it a free kick? No penalty. So it's going to be a free kick from just on the edge of the box. That looked about right from what I saw. Rafinha swings that in and it's dealt well with by Liverpool's defence. James is just about going to keep the ball in. And Firpo is going to play it to Vojvoda. And that's all that comes to. In at half time then, and this has been somewhat of a mismatch. Liverpool are 3-0 up and absolutely cruising. We are trying to put up a fight, but it's not going very well. Hopefully we can just get out of Anfield with this 3-0 scoreline. Maybe nick a goal of our own, but we're not looking likely. Let's see what happens in the second half. 60 minutes on the clock, and as usual, we are looking to the substitutes bench. We are going to take Bentancur off for Calvin Phillips. We're going to give Karim Adeyemi a chance up top. And I'm also going to give Draymond a game at right back, just to protect us in terms of numbers. There it is then, a 3-0 defeat, and not a very pretty performance from us. We struggled to get into the game after conceding the 3 early goals, and as you can tell by the second half, Liverpool kind of took their foot off the gas as their victory was ensured early on. So we are going to look to push forwards and get back into some kind of game-winning form, and we'll have a look at where we are going to come back in the next episode. A humbling couple of games then sees us lose both of the matches in this episode. We are still in 4th place though. We are now only 4 points ahead of Chelsea, and I think the teams above us are building enough of a gap to keep us at bay. So I said we were going to look at where we were going to come back in terms of matches. So let's have a look at the schedule. So the schedule actually reads that we have back-to-back games against Arsenal, one in the Premier League, one in the FA Cup. We then have Southampton, Forest, West Ham, before we play in the Europa League second knockout round. So what my thinking is, we actually have transfer deadline day coming up in just 3 days' time, I think it is. So we are probably going to do a transfer special, and then we will probably come back for this unknown and Bournemouth game and see where we are in the Premier League and if we're still in the FA Cup. A humbling experience then in this episode as we bring another one to an end. Poor performance against Man City was followed up with the first half bashing by Liverpool. Don't even know how else to describe it. They played us off the park. So we are going to regroup, going to have a little look at what we can do in terms of transfer deadline day. There are a few players that have clubs sniffing around them. We have Jack Harrison, who is currently in the under-23s, asking to leave. So hopefully we can move him on and bring a few fresh faces in. It will also be a first chance to look at transfer deadline day in the save. So if you're at this point of the episode and you're still enjoying the content and you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, please go and do it just to help the channel out. Those 2 little buttons make all the difference. But for this one, I'm going to wrap it up and I'll catch you on the next one on transfer deadline day.